need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
So Denise wrote in and she said, I am having a great time she's traveling. Okay, for work. I'm having a great time and I'm socking away some money in preparation for a planned renovation of my studio apartment in Queens, New York. I know that your expertise is home decor, but perhaps your project planning skills can lend themselves to advice on my situation. What started out as plans for a modest kitchen reno has expanded into plans for a kitchen, bathroom, and new flooring throughout the space project. Right now, I am in the dreaming and Pinterest phase, and I haven't a clue as to really how to proceed. I have a contractor in mind who's done several apartments in my finicky co-op. So he is known and accepted by the building and has a track record with them. Can you give me advice on the next steps to take? Do I tell him my plans and then ask for an estimate? Do I give him my budget and have him tell me how much he can do for that much? Can I get him started when I'm home in July and then again in September, but have the work actually done while I'm away traveling? I'm on my own and I have never done anything like this. Thanks for any advice you can share. I appreciate it so much, Denise. Well, Denise, it is great to hear from you, as you already know. I responded to you in Facebook, but like I said, I want my listeners to maybe learn from your questions as well. So, one thing that I would say is that I would ask for a quote on sort of the different elements of your project. So instead of one overall quote, I would ask for a quote for the kitchen, quote for the bathroom, quote for the flooring, it broken down into 3 pieces so you could choose really what you want to do. But also, I wouldn't show him my cards. I wouldn't say I have this much to spend. I would instead inquire about what his quote would be, but I'd also let him know that I'm getting other quotes from other vendors. And then I would actually do that. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, this is a finicky co op. I'm going to have to get approvals. I don't want to use somebody that's not familiar with our building. Well, I'm sure that the management company, and being on the board of a former finicky co-op myself, I can tell you with confidence, pretty good confidence, that there are multiple contractors who have worked in your building, different companies that have been approved and that could easily pass through the board approval again due to their knowledge of your building and due to the fact that they've already been pre-approved. So I would get multiple quotes. Now, personally, I always like 3 quotes, and I let the companies know that I will be, inquiring with others so that they give me something competitive rather than this guy just thinking he has a monopoly on your building, right? And that you'll just go with whatever he says because he's the most commonly used. I would also want to check out his previous work in your building. So you can ask the management company or you can post something in the lobby that says, I'm thinking of hiring this guy. Could I come see the work that he's done in your unit? And that way you can actually feel, touch, and get a sense of what he's done. Then, once you get those quotes, my advice would be to, this is just my advice, not leave them alone to do the work while you're away. Because so many times I see contractors who are working while the client is away because, of course, that's really convenient, right? You have a place to stay. You're out of their hair. They can be as noisy and messy and whatever because you're not actually living there. But if you don't have somebody professional or somebody who knows what the end goal is, like the client, supervising them, how many times have I seen them lay the tile the wrong way? How many times have I seen them have questions and then feel like they couldn't reach out to you or it was just too much hassle and then they just do something that really is, out there and not ideal? Now, keep in mind, I'm a micromanager with these projects. I have a strong vision. I know what I'm looking for. I know how I like it. I'm going to be on them with the timeline. You might be more flexible and laid back, but it's really hard to ensure that the work is getting done in a good, efficient way and getting done properly unless you can check in at least once every 1 to 4 days. I would not let it go more than 4 days without seeing what's up. Because I remember one time they were redoing my floors, and I went away. I wasn't living there, but I like emptied everything out, and you leave them alone. You don't check in because it all sort of happens in one day with the redoing the floors. And they used the wrong stain color. The wrong stain color. It was not what I specified. And I come in the next day and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like practically ebony. And I did like a mid-tone brown, like a kind of ashier walnut. What is going on? And so the more you can be there, the sooner you can catch these issues. Because if you don't catch them quickly and the contractor's already cleaned up his work, his team is already gone, you're going to have a very hard time getting him back in there. I can tell you that. So you want to be able to quickly catch the issue, quickly give the feedback so that they immediately make a correction or don't make a mistake in the first place. Guys, renovations can be so complicated, but actually, I do help with renovations all the time at my firm. What we do is we pick out the pretty stuff. We pick out the tile, the vanity cabinets, the light fixtures, the floor stain, all of that. We just don't manage the contractors because, like I said, you have to be on site all the time. And if you want us to be on site for you, that's just kind of a steep day rate, right? For us to stop by all the time, even though it can be worth it if you absolutely can't be there or you want that micromanaging expert eye. I'll walk in and in 2 seconds be able to sum up what's going on, how it's going, what they've missed. It's very important. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.